In this video, we're going to talk about Converge ICT's massive growth. What sets Converge ICT apart up against other broadband providers? What's their upside? What's their secret sauce on why they are doing so well in their particular space? So if you want to know more about the Converge ICT IPO, you have to check this video out. Hi everyone, so this is part 1 of our interview with Converge ICT COO and Chief Financial Office Advisor as we talk about the company, its origins, its background, what the company is all about, how they started, how they grew, what their focus is, what makes them so good, what's their differentiating factor, and everything else in between. But before I show you that interview, please remember the whole intent of this video is to give you information, to give you data so that you can decide properly. Never ever buy a stock just because a person in YouTube is talking about it. The whole goal and the whole narrative of this is for you to make wise decisions on your investments, because at the end of the day, the strength of you winning and growing in the stock market over the long term is that you know what you're getting into. And I do hope that this gives you enough information so that you can decide properly. So enjoy the rest of the video. Hi everyone. So we are in for a very, very special treat today. As you all know, we are having the Converge ICT IPO in the next few days, and we have the CFO of Converge, Matias Vukovic, and also the Chief Operating Officer, Buboy Romero, part of the podcast today. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you for giving the time to share your insights to a lot of investors right here. Before we begin also, I'd like to mention to everyone that this video is for data purposes, that in no way we are telling you to buy, sell, avoid, or hold the stock, but you must do your own due diligence when you are coming in to buy or to sell or whatever transactions that you want to do thereafter. So, gentlemen, good morning. How's everything?
Yeah,
Good to be here.
Morning, Marvin. Good to be here.
Congratulations to all of you, because it's something that's very, very interesting to have a local company, something that has been started from scratch, grow into where you are right now. But I'm sure people want to know a couple of things. Where was Converge when they were starting out? When you guys were starting out, then how did you scale up to where you are today?
The company has been around for quite some time. It started, I think, back in '92 in Angeles City as a cable TV operator. So, when the Americans left, Far East Network disappeared. So there was a need for a new mode of entertainment. And Dennis, at that time, was on the offline model of that same business. He was renting Betamax tapes. And then, he quickly realized, again, with the Americans leaving and, Far East Network, you could actually watch used content before. I don't know, you were too young then, Marvin. But that was what it was, no? So he started that. And then, eventually, technology evolved, no? So the cable TV infra was being adapted to provide internet. Dennis had tried dial-up internet, no? So he knows what it was. I used to work for Globe, no? I sold him dial-up lines and bandwidth. But when he saw that the cable technology was now being adapted to do broadband, so he quickly shifted into that. One of the other developments along the way was it evolved from cable, pure cable, into what's known as hybrid fiber coax. That's where the fiber started. So now you have fiber from your data center to your nodes. So it was a natural progression to eventually make it fiber all the way to the home. And, Dennis was one of the pioneers. He tested many of the technologies at that time, until eventually it evolved into what we're using now, which are the standards, GPON, for example. I think 2012, was it, Matias, when the company, very early in the morning, we got a congressional franchise as a utility telecom company. And then we got an NTC license to operate broadband data services nationwide. That meant to say that we can now really build our own network. Because you need to own a franchise and a license to build and own your own network. Okay, so with that, we started to expand into Metro Manila. They started coming in around 2012, initially just partnering with, somebody else, Destiny for Fiber, which was then bought by Sky Cable. So then he said, well, no choice now. We have to build our own. And they started doing that incrementally. I joined 2016. We firmed up the strategy and the marketing plan, and we progressively built up, and largely it's very organic growth. Paying from whatever cash flow is available, whatever vendor financing is available, until, as Matthias said, 2017 we started looking for an equity investor. The owners are averse to debt. Let me say that up front. Filipino Chinese businessmen, they don't like debt, no. But they felt that maybe before an IPO we can get an equity investor, which happened 2018 actually. Warburg came in 2018, but as can be explained later, regulatory issues and eventually all sorted out. 2019 is when their money finally came in.
I love investing in technology stocks, but in the Philippines, there's not a lot of technology stocks out there. The closest proxy that we have is to invest in the infrastructure or the data where these technology companies would pass. And there's so much opportunity right now in the broadband space because the Philippines is pretty much underserved. How does Converge plan to maximize and utilize this current scenario and take advantage of it, where you come out being better and winning off of it?
You have to clearly identify the market segment. And you mentioned the fact that the market is actually very big and unserved and underserved. And taking the other part, which is, what are the market segments? So, for example, Converge only looks at Class C and above. These are the people who can afford to pay month on month a postpaid high-speed broadband service. Then there is the mass base who will be using mobile data on their phones. There will be customers who are not yet serviceable, will use fixed broadband wireless. It's a totally different category, right? So we only look after the Class C and above. Number two, since our business is wired connections, you need to be where they are. So if you are not there, you cannot serve them. If you are there after somebody else, they could, already sign up most of the customers. So it's important to go to where the customers are earlier than anybody else. You need to have a better product. I mean, putting it very simply, in a survey conducted by Nielsen, they said customers are looking for four basic things: speed, reliability, affordability, and good customer service. So once you have that, and then you have the network, then it's all about your go-to-market now. And we have many ways of addressing customers now, because some of them, they want to be visited in their homes. We have a field sales channel. Some of them, for some reason, they like to go to stores. We have business centers, but mainly in Central Luzon. A lot of the young people now, they only like to apply online. They don't like calling hotlines. They don't like talking to people. They go online, they apply. In Metro Manila, for example, close to half of our applications are coming in online. No agents, no telephone calls, no brick and mortar stores. And of course, value for money in total. And then we need to make sure that, when we are available in the area, everybody knows we're there and we're able to quickly take applications.
We're trying to create the platform for a digital ecosystem in the Philippines. Yeah? Because if you look at Southeast Asia, there are many big technology companies. There are many big data center companies. They are evolving and they are emerging because there is a solid telecom infrastructure, which is currently lacking in the Philippines. And we all know, I mean, the two big incumbents on the wireless side, they still have a lot to do. And what we are focused on is not on the wireless, but on fixed fiber. We call it FTTH, fiber to the home, to build a platform across the Philippines for individual users, for residential users and enterprise users, to build these new digital companies. So what we're doing is we're just building the highway, building the streets, but building that very fast so Filipinos can drive on it and create new businesses, new digital businesses. And that's very, very important to us. That's really our mission.
What's the thing that sets you apart compared to everyone else in the industry? What would that one thing be?
Pure focus on a single product, FTTH. We're just doing this one thing and we're doing it very good. We are not doing other products, wireless, or investing in other digital companies, what fintech, healthcare. We're doing this one single thing because there's still so much to do in the Philippines. The fiber penetration in the Philippines last year was less than 7% of the total population. You look at places like Thailand, it's getting over 30. Vietnam is getting close to 40. And we're not talking even about Korea, Japan that are in the 80s, 90s. That's really what we're trying to accomplish, and what makes us different, not only in the Philippines but also in the region, because Philippines is still such a massively underserved market.
Some of the other analysts would consider pure play as a negative, but it seems that the majority think that that's exactly what we're looking for. No distraction. No very large business that can be, disrupted by another operator, like mobile. We all know Dito may come next year, right? When that happens, mobile is going to be bloody, right? So we, as Matthias said, pure play. And many actually respect that because they know we will focus on this day in, day out. Every waking hour of the day is only how to build the best network, serve the customers better, and offer, maybe there are some innovative products, even though we're just connected.
Does that mean you don't have plans to enter into the mobile space, or you have that later on in the pipeline, or you're really just laser focused up until for the next few years just on on broadband?
It is very competitive. When it's prepaid, people can switch very easily. And we all know it's also quite capital intensive to build base stations.
Yeah.
So again, the focus is really on this massive opportunity that we have on fiber to the home. But I think one thing that's very important to note, and we all heard about 5G, and going forward 5G will be the new mobile technology globally. In the Philippines, I think we still have probably to wait for a few years, but if 5G comes, it will require fiber. All the 5G sites will need to be connected to fiber. So potentially new operators, and this can be existing operators or new operators that will come to the market in the Philippines over the next couple of years, they may come to us and ask us, please give us fiber. You have the best and deepest network in the country. Please connect us. And that's happening in many countries. Look at the United States. There are pure play fiber platforms. Zayo, it's a very big company. They are basically the backhaul of many of the local operators for the 5G networks. And so this is absolutely a global trend that fiber companies are supporting the growth of 5G.
We are in the midst of a pandemic. There's a lot of uncertainty. The Philippines had the negative GDP. Then foreigners over the past 9 months have been selling the Philippine markets. Why are you doing the IPO right now in the midst of all of this?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question, Marvin. Actually, it is linked to our franchise. We have a government mandate that we need to do the IPO by 2022. Actually, the deadline was already a few years back. We pushed that. We cannot push it anymore. So we need to do the IPO by 2022. Pandemic indeed is a bit a difficult situation, but I think what the country needs is fiber, are our services. So that's why we were pushing through with the IPO in these difficult conditions to make sure that we can deliver and we can bring the service to the country and fulfill the mandatory requirement to go public. And if you look at the responses from international investors, very, very strong. Everybody realizes home broadband. I mean, this is the thing that is an absolute utility, like necessity to have now. After water, food, you need connectivity. So we believe that there is a very strong demand in the markets now for our services, and at the end, I think it was a good decision to go ahead despite these market uncertainties which you mentioned.
Given your adjusted IPO price, I think the proceeds that will be around 7 billion. Correct me if I'm wrong.
10 billion.
Sorry, 10 billion. From that 10 billion, how will you segment the proceeds of that?
In our prospectus, and I would encourage everyone to have a look at it. It's I know it's a very long read, but it's quite interesting, and we've laid out in detail some plans. if I were to highlight one number, is that by 2025 we want to reach more than 50% of the households in the Philippines with our fiber services. So the proceeds from the IPO will be used for the construction of the network to build, we call them ports, so to expand our network, to connect our subscribers, and then also to build the backbone, which is the core part of the network, to connect the whole Philippines, from the northern top of Luzon all the way down to Mindanao.
Your subscriber base grew massively from 2016 to where we are today. What was your secret sauce? What did you do to grow that fast as well?
We build our network in a way that's nearly impossible to copy. And the reason for that is we build it ourselves. Okay? We have our own subsidiary that does network construction, Metroworks. It's a wholly owned subsidiary. The people there are very experienced and knowledgeable about network construction. We use leading edge construction technologies. Backbone, we use HDD, or horizontal directional drilling. It's non-disruptive. Metro areas, we use micro trenching. We were the pioneer there, and we have a lock on the best technology. So micro trenching allows us to dig trenches in the CBDs in a very non-disruptive manner. We even buy our materials ourselves. So in short, we control the whole process. Remember, I used to work in the industry with another player. Most of the competitors outsource everything. As a result, they're not totally able to control. In our case, other than the fact that we build it ourselves, remember, this is the only thing we do. When we do our network plans, we start from a macro level. The final step, Marvin, is on-the-ground validation. Somebody pounds the streets and looks at the households and says, this belongs to our target market, and that is where we roll out. So as a result, we deploy our ports where our customers are, our target customers are, and we build it very fast because of our unique way of building it ourselves. So that's really the major secret there in terms of making ourselves available.
Maybe unlike other players, where we're very, very focused on is the return on the invested capital. So when we invest, we make sure to deploy in the right places, and that we get good utilization of the network. So basically, we get the best money for what we are deploying in terms of the capex. And that's very important as you think about being capital efficient, getting good returns for the company, reinvesting that money in our business, or at some point maybe paying it out as dividends. I mean, that may come in the future. This is just such a massively, if you do it the right way, if you do it the right way and capital efficiently, you can generate a lot of cash with this business. And you can use that cash, deploy it in construction of the network, which we are doing now because there's such a big opportunity, or use that cash and eventually return it to the shareholders.
Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned about all of your strategies for great growth. You had a CAGR of 49% over the past 3+ years. My question is this: is this rapid growth still possible in the next few years, or do you see it some of the growth has been pushed forward because of the pandemic, that people who were not planning to get broadband plans this year had to upgrade because everyone's at home right now?
Just to highlight, the company started, as I mentioned, in Pampanga. No? We didn't start in any metro area, although eventually we did roll out in Metro Manila. By the way, the homes pass we have in Metro Manila today, the ports, is not even 20% of the total households in Manila. So still a lot of work to be done in Metro Manila. Let's talk about Daet. Daet, Camarines Norte, is in the Bicol region. And when you look at GDP per capita, Bicol is 16 out of 17, not necessarily the most prosperous, no? But then again, based on our demand forecast, which we do on the ground, as I mentioned, Daet has 20,000 plus households, no? Poverty rate 20%. But we did our on-the-ground demand forecast. We rolled out 8,000 ports. This was last year. Within 8 months, we sold 4,000 ports, or 50%. Way ahead of our internal targets. And this was pre-pandemic. This was before COVID. So as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our growth is being driven by just expansion to areas which never saw fiber before. And you know, those subscribers, they were using some kind of connectivity already. I think there was some DSL, but a lot were on mobile and they were already spending money. Now, when something came, and you know, the price points are really attractive, 1,500 for 25 megabits. That drove, you know, 50% utilization in 8 months. It's even better than what we experience in metro areas. You know, you look at Central Visayas, Northern Mindanao, and the Davao area, they're in the top 6, you know, when you look at GDP. So we fully expect the same results as we get there.
The pandemic just has accelerated something that would have happened anyway. I mean, at some point, we would all have been doing more online shopping. Kids would have been using online tools more. We would have started to do telemedicine. But this is just, these events have just pushed things forward, these natural developments, that will only be possible with the right technology and the right technology to support it. And fiber is key to that. And that's why I think we've just seen someone, the button was pressed and now things are starting. But it's there's, again, such a massive demand in the market that it's not a one-off, but it will spur the acceleration of our build-out across the entire country.
You guys mentioned about expanding in Visayas and Mindanao. At what stage are you already in terms of going into those areas?
In the key cities, Marvin, we're already rolling out what's known as the ODM, that's the last mile, optical data network. In fact, Cebu, you know, we have about 15,000 finished. In terms of the backbone, the cables, we bought the cables from Belgium. You know, Nexans, one of the top submarine cable providers in the world. They're slated to arrive Q4 of this year. At that point, we can start the cable laying also. This is for the submarine segments, no? And then, you know, we expect to be done by no later than Q2 of next year. But the terrestrial segments are already underway. In fact, I get a lot of messages. Yesterday, I got a message from a friend in Rojas City. Hey, your people are laying fiber here. Can you make sure that my industrial park is part of your rollout? And, you know, Cebu, Davao, Cagayan de Oro, you know, people are already seeing our guys laying out fiber.
I hope you guys got a lot from this video. And in the second part of our interview with their COO and Chief Financial Office Advisor, we're going to talk about their valuations. Are they actually cheap or are they expensive? How do you compare Converge ICT to other companies out there? What's the relative valuation for the company? And also, this is something that a lot of you guys wanted to know. Why is there investors selling? Is this a red flag? Is there something bad going on? Everything you need to know about valuations and their early investors, that's what we will talk about at the second part of this video. So I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope this is something that helped you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.